someone you should.
And so that was a false start. And I'm playing. I just told you about. They made some changes in StreamYard, and I'm back there and I'm working on it. And I am just like, I can't get this to stop. Hi, Lori. Glad you're here.
Happy to be here.
We're just going to rock and roll with this and have some fun. Now, it's supposed to be the Giver Marketing Show. So as I'm choosing it, it's not popping up, which is kind of funny. I don't know why, but which is why when I hit the intro, we're just going to roll with this. And yeah, because that's what we do, right? We're professionals.
Absolutely. That's what we do.
So welcome to an extra exciting episode of Giver Marketing Tuesday broadcast. And I'm excited to have you here, Lori. We met through H7. What a great organization. I love it's one of the organizations that Giver Marketing partners with. And, there's just so many fantastic people over there. And I was excited to have you on the show today because, oh my goodness, y'all, you're just not going to believe this. Lori, for those that don't know you, we really need to tell them about all the amazing things you've done, like your journey to get here. I know you're known for, entrepreneurship, and you're known for copywriting. There's so many different things that you're known for. And I have seen awards. You have awards. What in the world? Talk to us. How did you get involved in all this marketing stuff?
Sure. I actually started my career as a tax lawyer. So I did tax mergers and acquisitions for about 7 years. And then I went into industry where I was the VP legal affairs for a company that owned 3 different chains of restaurants. And I spent 10 years there. And then I left and I co-founded with a partner. We founded a chain of restaurants, which we subsequently franchised. And then we sold the company after 5 years to a US restaurant development group. So at that point, I was like, okay, well, I was in my early 40s. What am I going to do now that I'm grown up? And I thought, well, what do I know? I know franchising and licensing. I know the marketing, the legal, the operations, the finances, the HR. So what I did was I set up Lori Karpman Company, which is a full service franchise and licensing consulting firm. So we do legals, financials, operations, sales, marketing, HR. So it's a complete one-stop shop for brands that want to franchise their business or license their business. But being a lawyer by trade, my favorite thing to do is to write. That's why I became a lawyer. What you hone as a lawyer is how to write to persuade. So I retired from practicing law about 5 years ago. So 2 years ago, I opened the Copy Lab. And the Copy Lab is a content creation agency. So I use my legal skills combined with, I do have a degree in marketing and communication. So I combine those. Plus I was StoryBrand trained. And so I create content for businesses that really converts, prospects into clients. So that's sort of what I'm up to now. So I'm running these 2 businesses now and loving every moment of it.
Because, you don't have anything else to do, right? 2 businesses.
Yep. No, nothing else to do, but there's not going to be a third. Some people I know run 3 or 4 businesses and there will not be a third.
Well, those 2 that you have sound like a whole lot of fun. I know for businesses, like you said, branding is so important. And how are you going to brand your business? If you're going to franchise, you definitely want to have your branding on point. So that makes so much sense. Yeah. Now, the Copy Lab, you mentioned having a StoryBrand background. For those that aren't familiar with that, you want to mention a little bit what that means?
Sure. Absolutely. StoryBrand is a writing training. It's a writing certification, and it's very different than other content. Traditional content sells features and benefits. And that's a perfect example of that is, let's say you're looking for software and you go to their site and it shows you how it compares to the others. And there's ticks and boxes, and this one doesn't have this box or this tick. That's selling features and benefits. Features and benefits do not sell. What you need to sell is pain and solution. You're suffering from this. I'm your guide. I'm the solution. I can fix this for you. And that kind of content really resonates much higher with people, and it converts at 6 times the rate of traditional content.
Well, that's making a lot of sense, which also makes sense with the copywriting and the video and everything that we're seeing being so popular right now. Yeah. Story, right? What's the story about?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. Now, I do know that you got some awards. Brag on yourself. I want to hear it. Talk to me
Oh,
about
God.
these awards you've got.
Oh, wow. I have a ton of them. Yeah, I've been winning awards like, Outstanding Management Consultancy, Outstanding Consultant of the Year. Um, I just got one for the Copy Lab, which is Innovation in Digital Marketing. But the one that I'm most proud of is that I was inducted into the Order of Fantastic Professionals, which is an international, world renowned organization that takes only the top 1% of entrepreneurs in the country. And you don't go to them, they come to you and they invite you to apply. So they did their research, they came to me, they invited me to apply, filled out the documents, and I was accepted. So that to me is something that's really special because we won a lot of awards. Some of the awards are awards where you nominate yourself for an award and then you may or may not win. But the ones that I'm most proud of are the ones where someone else nominated me or they reached out to me, and that's the Order of Fantastic Professionals did exactly that.
I love that. Congratulations. That's so
Thank you.
exciting.
Yes,
And
and I heard that once you're inducted into an order as a woman, you get to call yourself Dame. So I'm telling my friend, you can call me Dame Lori. So that's my new thing. Oh, it's Dame Lori to you.
I love that. What a great title, right?
Yeah, isn't it?
That's it. So I would like to introduce Dame Lori Karpman to the show today.
There you go. Doesn't that ring off? I mean, that just sounds so nice.
It does. It sounds amazing. I love that title. I don't think I've ever heard that one before. So we're in new territory now. How fun. Well, so you've got all this, just so much experience in business. And I know through your time as you've been working that you've developed skills and talents and things that you've noticed that are necessary, really what we need for success.
Yeah.
And so I am so excited that you're willing to come on and share some of your secrets to success.
Oh, I am happy to share my secrets.
Oh, I'm excited. I know you've got some slides put together for us.
Yeah.
Should we pop those up and
Sure.
what do you think? All right, here we go.
All right. So what we're going to talk about today, I mean, the way that I've built my business over the past 35 years is very simple. I have been doing networking. I write, I speak, and I network. And that's how I've grown my business. And we're going to talk today about networking in particular as a way to grow your business and why you need a network to build a 7-figure business. Because a lot of people don't understand the value of networking. And there's an art and there's a science to it. So let's have a look at that today. So this is me. About me, I'm the founder and CEO of 2 award-winning businesses. Been a franchise consultant, writer, speaker, brand storyteller, and I built my business from scratch when there was no internet, no social media, no ads.
Those were the days, right?
Those were the days, absolutely, where now you got to figure out, where you're going to go. So when I first started my business, I had no money for marketing or advertising. So I became active in the Canadian Franchise Association, as well as other industry associations, and I attended trade shows. And over the years, I built up my credibility because I just kept showing up again and again and again. So networking is about showing up again and again. And that's how you build relationships, and you get visibility, and that's what creates your referral business. And a referral is the best way to get business because they are warm leads. They're not cold leads. They're coming from someone who already knows you, who's recommending you. So it's much easier and you have much higher close rate when it's for a referral than it is from a cold outreach, which I do not do. I do not do any cold outreach. So why do referrals work? Referrals work because people trust people, right? So 80%, 83%, okay, would trust recommendations from friends and family over ads. So friends and family. So if you have a company and you're marketing your company, you need to make sure that you're not only addressing the needs of your target, but those of their family and friends so that it can resonate with them. So referral leads are 4 times more likely to convert into prospects. And clients that are referred spend up to 25% more and they stay longer. So over time, I started doing, in-person networking because that's what they had at the time. My business really blew up around COVID. when all of these online networking started to come up. And for me, it was amazing because I'm Canadian. I live in Canada, but I work in the US. And so it's through networking groups in the United States that I've been able to build my US business. So you often need an entire referral community. So it's nice to have one or two people that know what you do and that refer you, but you really need a community, because it's not referrals, it's a movement. These are people who believe in you. They're customers, partners, they're friends. These are people who know you, who believe in you. And I come from H7, which we'll discuss a little bit in a moment. And in H7, we have what's called champions. And champions are people who are either referral partners, or they're collaborators, or you have strategic partnerships with them where you could work together on the same file. So, a network multiplies your reach, because it's not necessarily about the person who you talk to, because you don't know who they know, right? So, people say to me, how come you'll talk to anybody? And I say, because I don't know who they know. So I will talk to anybody who says, I'd really love to have a chat with you, because I want to talk to their network. And I can say that that my business is 100% referral and always has been. I don't do any advertising or anything like that. I just have a website. But every time I talk to someone, they say, oh, my cousin Joe does that. Or for example, I was talking to a woman who does senior care. She knows I do franchising, particularly restaurants. And she said, oh, my brother has a restaurant he'd like to franchise. So you never know where the connection or where the business is going to come. So, I speak to, in my business, in the franchise industry, I speak to a lot of payroll providers and service providers. And I say to myself, if I speak to one more payroll company, I'm going to have a heart attack. But the fact is that they're great referral sources for me, because they have the clients who may want to franchise, or clients who may need content. So it's really important to remember that it's not about who you talk to, it's who they know. And I can trace 50% of my CopyLab business back to the H7 network. So that's the genesis of my business. So a member introduces me to someone who introduces me to someone else, and someone else, so on. But ultimately, I get a gig somewhere. That is part of my networking and working through my referral community. So it's a long-term game, right? You may speak with someone and they may have people they can introduce you to today, and that's great, but you need to find a way to stay in front of the people who are going to be referral sources for you. So when I talk to someone who I think would be a good referral source, I make a meeting from a meeting. So by the end of that meeting, I said, okay, when should we chat again? And I set up a second meeting, because that's really where the magic happens, is in the second and the third meeting. So, don't just speak to someone one time and then just blow them off, because things change over time as well.
Yeah, I refer to that as the one and done, right? And it is done, because if you only talk to somebody once, like you said, it's that repetition over and over again of getting to know somebody, consistently showing up. Otherwise, you meet somebody once and you may never talk to them again. How is that going to somehow translate into a relationship, let alone business?
Yeah, it doesn't. It's just a complete waste of time. And that's why I always try to book a meeting from a meeting. So, and what I do for my first meeting with people who want to meet with me, my first meeting is only 15 minutes. And I do that because that's enough time in 15 minutes to figure out if there are synergies between us. And if there are synergies between us, then right away I said, okay, well, let's explore the synergies. Let's do a 30-minute or a 60-minute call, which I then book right away.
Makes perfect sense, right? Spend more time with those that you see the potential with.
Absolutely. So what are the benefits of having a referral community? For example, Giver Marketing is a referral community. Okay. It saves you tens of thousands of dollars, traveling, meals, those things you may still have if you travel. But right now, everybody's business is really virtual. And I used to do a ton of traveling for clients, and I'd be away every second week for 4 days. And I did that for 20 years, and it was absolutely exhausting. I was one of the very first adopters of Zoom. and taught my clients to be that as well. So I was able to cut down my traveling by literally 95%, save myself tens of thousands of dollars. So the beauty of having a referral community is that, someone in New York introduces you to someone who's in Las Vegas, who introduces you to someone who's California. You would never get, even if you had all the money in the world for advertising, you would never get into those markets without some kind of a network, without some kind of an introduction. So it's the best way to tap into new markets, new networks. And it builds trust faster than any ad ever could, because people buy people. So face to face is the best way to sell somebody, whether it's in person or whether it's over Zoom, is not really relevant. But you build trust much faster than you could through any other form of advertising or marketing. So let's talk about how do you build a referral community for yourself. So the first thing you can do is create a simple referral program. Make it clear and easy to join. Offer incentives, discounts, bonuses, offers. For example, Dropbox, they had explosive growth via referrals because they had, if you refer somebody to Dropbox, for every person, you got a month free. So that's a way of giving a bonus to entice people. My referral program, my personal program, is that I will pay a referral fee to anyone who brings me business between 10 and 20% of the total value of the contract. So that's one thing. So I do offer financial bonuses. I never ask for referral fees, but I do pay them. And if someone does pay referral fees, I'm very happy to accept them. So it can be incentives, it could be bonuses, it could be exclusive offers. You could say, you could have an ebook for them to download, some kind of a lead magnet or a video for them to watch, but just make sure it's educational. So if you're going to go and you're going to use any kind of advertising or media, make sure it's educational and that it's not a sales pitch, because people will turn it off right away if it's a sales pitch. So it's always best to say what you have to say, educate, and then right at the end, you can do your sales pitch. If you have any questions, if you're interested in learning more, here's how you can reach me, so that it doesn't feel like it's totally promotional.
That call to action, right? What do you want them
to do?
Yeah,
absolutely. So the second way to build a network is to collaborate with complementary businesses and offer turnkey solutions. So for example, the Copy Lab often works with web design firms because they design the web, but they don't do content creation. And when you speak to web designers, they'll tell you that the number one problem that they have that holds up their projects is getting the content from the client. Mm-hmm. So I work with web design firms to put together a turnkey package. So now they become more full service to their client. They have another service that they could add on. So you need to look and you need to see who are the complementary businesses. So for example, if you're a fractional CFO, you would like to meet with coaches and consultants who work with businesses. That would be your target market, right? So you're looking to collaborate with them to be able to come in and help their clients with the financial part. So that's one way where you have a complementary business, and you also can build a referral network by being able to provide, again, helping someone else provide a turnkey solution. That makes sense, because then you both have more value.
Absolutely. I know that's a lot of what we do with Giver Marketing. And the idea is don't be a solopreneur, right? All of our marketers have areas of expertise. And when you partner up with other marketers, now you have a larger package, like you said, a complete solution for someone. So
exactly. Like, I do ghostwriting and editing of books, and I've partnered with a publisher. So now I can offer the full service. We can write your book, we can design it, we can edit it, we can do all the formatting, we can market it, we can get it on Amazon, we can publish it in Barnes and Noble. And so I've hooked up with someone who now can take my product, which would be the book, and monetize it.
And then, of course, there's all the get it on bestseller list, right? So that it just keeps going and going, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So we do all of that. And we give them a marketing package. So we create a marketing package around their speech, their book, whatever it is.
Yeah, those packages just make it nice and simple and easy for the consumer.
Yeah, absolutely. Instead of saying, well, you can have this for this amount and this for this amount and this for this amount, just put a package here. This is the cost. This is everything you get. And then we can adjust from there. If they need more of something or less of something, you can go from there.
Because we know about decision paralysis, right? If they've got too many choices with too many packages to look at and too many options, right? Then they tend not to make a decision. So that's in itself, that doesn't close business.
No, and that's why StoryBrand works so well, because StoryBrand is based on pain and solutions. So you'll see StoryBrand materials always start with things like, don't you hate how you can't communicate your message properly? Don't you hate that you've been paying all this money on advertising and you've not seen a return on your investment? Well, we do too. And that's why we created the Copy Lab, because the Copy Lab will provide you with StoryBrand content that converts. So you show them what the problem is that they're suffering so that they know you understand them. And then you position yourself as the solution. And that is going to sell much faster than features and benefits.
Absolutely. And so when you can partner and have all the solutions together, because you've got partners that you're working with, now everybody's referring everybody, right? We can all work as teams.
Yep, absolutely. And that's how you build up your referral program, and you build up your partnerships as well, is by collaborating with complementary businesses.
I love it.
Step 3, host meetups. These can be online or in person. Face-to-face time builds real bonds, even if it's through something like FaceTime or, a video or something like that. Face-to-face time builds real bonds. And that's why I never use the telephone anymore. If I want to speak to someone, I send them a Zoom invite, because I like to actually see who I'm talking to, right? That's something that's important for me. And I think that when you see the person, you build more of a connection with them when you see them. So think about when you're in a networking meeting and there's people who aren't engaged and their screen is black and their microphone is off. Okay. Those people are not creating bonds at all with anybody in the room, nor is anybody connecting with them. So you have to not only attend the events, but you need to be there. You need to be present.
Those of us that are more visual, right? It helps when we have a face that we can remember.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's how I go. I go by people's faces, because Lord knows my memory isn't what it used to be.
So I tell them, if you do have the printed business cards, I always say, put your face on it. If you're handing somebody
that's a very smart idea.
Right?
Yeah.
I had somebody one time pull a pocket of cards in there. I'm like, call me, right? And they pull out the cards, they're flipping through, and then they find the one with my face on. They're like, got the card, right?
Yeah, that's always, I always thought that was smart to put your face on the card. When it first started, I really didn't like it, and I thought it was sort of pushy, but I've since changed my opinion on that a long time ago. And I actually think that it's a very smart idea, because people remember faces more than they remember names.
Especially if you're at an event that's a large event and there's 100 people.
Yeah,
plus.
Exactly.
Yeah, those meetups make all the difference in the world.
Yeah, they really do. Like I say, whether it's online, online or in person, doesn't really matter.
Well, and I know H7 has a lot of meetings too, and Giver Marketing, we've got ours that we do. So it just helps build that community you're talking about.
Yep. And then once you're building your community, you want to make sure that you can reach out to them. So you need a CRM. So a CRM, customer relationship management software, is absolutely essential. Because it will tell you who you met with, but it can also help you track who referred who, and it help you track the referrals that you have made. So there's lots of CRMs out there. I've looked at them all, certainly happy to help anybody if they, want to figure out which one is for them. But I can tell you, I'm not a fan of HubSpot. So let's just throw that out there. Been using HubSpot. Because I have to use it for a client, and it's
a love or hate relationship. You either love it or you hate it. I usually find most of my clients end up switching back from HubSpot, and set up a lot of people with Go High Level recently, and that's what marketing uses. But there's a lot of choices.
Yeah, there's a lot of Go High Level. I think is about $97 a month or $95 a month. I switched actually to a CRM called Pipedrive. And Pipedrive is, depending on which package you need, it's either $14 a month or it's $30 a month. And it does everything. It does your, it's the CRM. So you have your name, all your information. You can tag, you can track, and it also does automated emails. So in doing that, I was able to get rid of MailChimp. So save myself a lot of dollars, because MailChimp was costing me $40, $50 a month, and Pipedrive is costing me $14.
Yeah,
And what's
it's
nice about
amazing.
Pipedrive is you can have as many contacts as you want. There's no limit on the amount of contacts. You only have to move up to another package when you want additional services, like, email sequences and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's why I love the all-in-one platforms. I used to be anti all-in-one, but with Go High Level, I fell in love with all the different features. It's one price, right? It's not all the
Yeah.
constant upsell. They don't charge you by contacts.
Yeah.
And so there's some definite, but the CRM really, I always look at that as kind of being the heart of your business.
Yes.
Without a CRM, right, you're just going to drop the ball. We think we're going to remember, but at some point there's just too many moving parts in your business. And so don't rely on your memory. Plus, you really can't scale without that CRM, right? Can you imagine taking somebody to franchise and not have systems in place that you could duplicate and scale?
Yeah, absolutely.
It just wouldn't make any sense at all. So yeah, CRM is really the heart.
Yeah, it really is. And if you're just using it for contacts, and you don't need the automation, you don't need any of those parts. There's a CRM that is made for professionals. It's made for people who work and who have referral partners, and it's called Mimiran. It's Mimiran. If anybody wants the information, it was created by Ruben Schwartz, who's a friend of mine, and I use the software. It's fabulous for keeping track of referrals and remembering when to reach out to them again and scheduling that task. And so it's really specific. It's made for people who are selling services as opposed to products. So that's another one that's really good that I would look at, just to give you a couple of ideas.
Absolutely. There's little gems of knowledge right there.
Absolutely. Everywhere. So the last way, okay, and this one should be the most important. It's always give back. So when we do, in H7, we have this training called Connect, Serve, and Ask. Connect, Serve, and Ask is a very specific formula for having a networking call. Connect is to connect with someone, find something that you have in common that you can connect on, and then serve someone, give them value, find out what's going on in their business. And, maybe you wrote an article you could send them, maybe you could show them a software that you have. But the first thing that you really want to do before you ask for what you need is to provide value to someone else. So, and that value can be provided in a bunch of different ways. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a referral. You can provide value in a bunch of different ways. So I believe in help out your community wherever you can. So for example, there was an H7 member who was got a new job, and he was working with a company that does safety driver training. And there's lots of franchisors that have fleets. And so he wanted to get into the franchise market. But talking to franchisors, there's a very specific language. So what I did was I created a brochure for him as to why franchisors need this service. I didn't charge him for it. I said, here, this can help you. And he landed like a 7-figure account using it. So I felt really good about that because, I don't get a cut, but that's fine. I felt good about the fact that I was able to do something and help another member. And that's really important.
And that really puts you top of mind, right? When we give back like that. And I know with giver marketing, obviously giver is part of the name, right?
Part of the name, yeah.
That's why, H7 and giver marketing are really nicely aligned just because of the values that are behind that.
Yeah, totally. So here I'm going to just take a little bit about H7. So H7 is a network with 1,400 professionals all over the world. 48 states, 22 countries. It's 17 years old. I've been a member for a little over 2 years. I'm on my 3rd year. I'm now a director, which means that I manage 6 groups. So H7 has 50 different groups a week, and you can go to as many or as few as you want. Unlike any other network, there's no home base. So there's no, you need to be there Tuesdays at 9. That doesn't exist. Right. So there's some meetings that you're going to like and you're going to want to go every week. And then there's some meetings where you're just going to I'll drop into Chicago this week. Next week, I'll drop into manufacturing. So the thing about it is you can attend any of the groups that are there because the group is based on target market and not who you are. So you can attend any of the groups. Like I say, 50% of my business I can trace back. What I love about H7 is that there is no pitching. You cannot pitch. You get thrown out of H7 for pitching. There is no pitching in H7 because we are not looking to sell to people in the room. It's not like BNI. We're looking to sell through the room and make connections with other people. And you can't do that if you're selling. So it's a really altruistic group of people, very high powered, because everybody there is the owner of the business. And if not, they're the decision maker in a business that they work for. So it's built on altruism and on making real connections. So if anybody is interested in learning more about H7, just email me. It's Lori@lorikarpman.com, which is pretty easy. Drop me an email and I would be happy to send you more information and have a personal chat with you to explain to you a little bit more about what it is.
Absolutely. H7 is a great organization. I know I've been meeting people for years and just recently joined myself. And with one of the meetings that I run with Oz is our AI Innovation Allies, right? So I love that there's different areas of interest within the H7 network. So the different meetings have different focuses. So if you like AI, that's where we play, right? But there's there's Tech Corner, right? There's a lot of fun stuff.
There's 4 different kinds of groups. So there's ones that are personal professional education for the executive or entrepreneur. There's ones that are masterminds. There's ones that are based on geography, and there's ones that are based on target market. So for example, there's tech, there's manufacturing, there's health and wellness. So if that is your target market, you would go to those groups. So health and wellness is for people who target the health and wellness industry. It's not necessarily for people who are in health and wellness, right? So the name of the group, so the same way, I'll drop in at Chicago. I'm Canadian. I don't live in Chicago, but I might like to do business there. So I'll drop in at the Chicago meeting just to meet the people there.
I love it. Yeah. Building the relationships really and having those choices. I know with Giver Marketing, we've got a mastermind on Tuesday or on Mondays. We've got the Tuesday broadcast, right? Wednesdays, we have networking for marketers. We'll give more details about that. But there's just so many opportunities to meet with people that you really get to build that relationship with, and that whole know, like, trust factor really, it becomes exponential.
Yep. And that's why I joined Giver Marketing, because it's first of all, it's marketing, which is my field. But it's a very different group than H7.
Mm-hmm. They have different purposes, but they blend well really nicely, just the shared values alone.
Absolutely. They're really great. There's a lot of education that's done in the Giver Marketing Network, which is awesome. And maybe not as much necessarily in H7, although like I said, there are educational groups, but the two actually blend very well together.
Yeah, we love collaborating with other organizations. We're in Selling with Dignity or this entrepreneur group. So we tend to broadcast to multiple locations, and it's just the idea of the give back, right? Yeah. Tide rises all. So if we can keep helping, right, that's our goal.
Absolutely. I must give between 15 and 20 referrals a week for different people. So it's like my clients will call me, or another connection will call me, and they'll say, do you know somebody who does this? Because they always call Lori, she's got a guy, and that's where I built, in the networking groups, you build all these relationships with other people who you can then bring in on projects that you're doing, right? Or they can bring you in on projects that they're doing. So that's why I really like H7, because it's collaborative. There's no competition. Like there's 300 coaches and consultants, but everybody does something different.
And even if they didn't, it's still okay, because it's a spirit of cooperation and the concept of abundance, right? Yeah. There's plenty of business to go around. And that mindset, I think, is so important. It really makes it so that the environment is so welcoming.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of business that goes on in the chat. In an H7 room, in the chat, lots of business always going on in the chat. Oh, you do this, let's chat. Oh, you do that, let's chat. So, yeah. So, like I say, I've been there for 3 years, and I really enjoy it. I'm very involved in the network, as Christine knows. But I'm also very involved in Giver Marketing. So, they definitely go together.
Which is why I'm so excited to have you on the show today.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. Let's see. All right. So, this was just, what makes H7 different. We sell through the room, not to the room. There's no rigid structure. We welcome grown-ups. We're looking for grown-ups. We don't track how many meetings you go to. We don't track how many referrals you give. We don't track business that you give other people or that you got from other people. We're all grown-ups in the room. So, you'll show up when you show up. There's no referral quotas. And it was founded by a man named Clay Hicks, who's just awesome. And it was 17 years ago. So here's some closing thoughts. So you don't need more hustle. You don't need to work harder. You need to build more relationships. So I did this at a convention, and I said, so to start building your referral community, just practice, just talk to the person next to you and just say hello and see who they are and see what they do. Because remember, people don't like to talk to other people because they think that they're selling, and they hate to sell, and selling is slimy. But you're not selling. They have a problem, and you're showing them that you have a solution to their problem. So they actually need you. So as long as you're not pushy, and you're just showing them how your product solves their problem, that's how you build business. So if anybody wants to connect with me, I don't know if it's open for questions now. I don't know how that works. But you can always send me an email. It's Lori@LoriKarpman.com. Check me out on LinkedIn. Again, Lori Karpman. And I would be certainly happy to answer and meet with anybody who would like to meet with me.
Absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and also drop your booking link in the chat so that people can just click on that, right?
So I will stop sharing then, right?
There we go. I'll remove that from the screen. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and put that out. So connect with Lori on LinkedIn. That's a great place. It's one of her playgrounds, right? So connect with her there. You never know who she might know. She might want to connect you with somebody or vice versa. Another thing would be to book an appointment on her calendar, right? Get in there and have a conversation with her. When you have an opportunity, she said she meets with anybody, right?
I meet with anybody. And, I offer anybody a free 30-minute consultation, whether it's strategic planning because you want to grow your business, or whether it's content, you just don't know what you should be doing. We can do a content strategy. So, everybody has a free 30 minutes where they can pick my brain on whatever their issue is.
Right. So whatever it is that you think you need in your business, and there's probably some word that Lori said today that you said, oh, I need to talk to Lori about, right? Reach out to her, get on her calendar and have a conversation, because she brings a wealth of knowledge that just is incredible. So you have an opportunity to talk to somebody who truly has that experience. You want to work with somebody that knows what they're doing, right? She's been around the block. Maybe you need some awards too, right?
Absolutely.
Ask her, say, Lori, how'd you get all those awards? Right? She'll tell you.
Yeah. And my clients have awards. My clients have awards for our marketing and branding work. One of my clients has an award for book editing, as I edited his book. So yeah, we've got lots of awards in different things. We get around.
Exactly. So there's so much wealth of information that she's got. So just reach out, have a conversation. Obviously, she doesn't bite. She's friendly. So get on a call with her. There's no reason not to. This is an opportunity that you want to take advantage of, because really getting that kind of expert advice, that's just, it's worth its weight in gold.
Yeah. Right? And it's free. So you can't get better than free. And as you know, there's no pitching. So I'm not going to try to sell you anything either.
Exactly. So start building some relationships, right? That's something that's important to you. If you're trying to grow your business, Lori says you need to, if you want to build that 7-figure business, you need to build your referral community.
Yep.
I love it. Well, so we've already got that in chat. Go ahead and make that connection with her. And this is our Tuesday marketing broadcast with Giver Marketing. We love when we can have people on to speak like Lori. Lori, I'm sure we'll have you come back again. We'll probably talk more about maybe more about your copy lab. I want to hear more about that. Let's get you back on the show again and have some fun with that.
Absolutely.
In the meantime, we want to tell everybody, don't be a lonelypreneur. Come hang out with us. Have some fun. It's on Wednesdays. That's tomorrow already. Wow. We have networking for marketers, and it's every Wednesday. So that is
what time, Christine?
It's at 8 a.m. Pacific, or it's 10 o'clock if you're in Texas, like me, in Central. Right. And then East Coast, it is at
11 a.m.
See that? Yeah, I'm much better at the time conversions now than I used to be.
I'm horrible with it. I just know I'm okay, like with Pacific, But what I'm not okay with is that there's some states that are in 2 time zones. It's the same state, but they have 2 time
Arizona.
zones. Like in Tennessee, like, because we're looking at doing a convention in Nashville. I was like, well, what part? Because there's 2 different time zones.
Absolutely. And then in Arizona, part of it doesn't change, right?
Yeah.
During the changes. So so there it is. But if you go to givermarketing.com/networking, there's a spot there you can register, you can get into our Zoom room and come hang out with us. We just want to have fun. That is absolutely no cost whatsoever. The idea, once again, like we talked about, our theme for today, building relationships, right? Building your community. So come build your community and come play with us. We would love that. And Lori, thank you so much again for coming and playing today.
Oh, it's always fun playing with you, Christine. Anytime.
All right. Looking forward to it. We'll have you back on the show again.
Cool.
All right, y'all. That's it for another episode of Tuesday Marketing Broadcast. We will see you next Tuesday. Thank you.